Get after for 6-8 seconds. Guys, this is what we had to get. This ain't the one we want. You want that
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Laurel Leader-Call Sports Show. I'm your host, Jack Fairchilds, joined alongside Kevan Lindsey, Josh Guru Nichols here as we get ready to talk about the action that's going to be taking place this week here on the gridiron, and a lot of stuff that took place over the weekend. Of course, we'll start with the game I was at, the Hattiesburg-Laurel game, the little Brown Jug game. My first ever one, and Hattiesburg won the game 31-18. The score's not really indicative of how close the game was. Right. I mean, it sounds like Hattiesburg won convincingly, but it was a game of big plays. There were multiple big plays that helped define that game. And I think that Laurel should feel, I won't say good, because anytime you lose a rivalry game, you don't feel good, but I do think that they should feel confident that they're going to be able to find some spark as this season goes on. Guru, I'll go to you first this week. What do you make of once you look at the stats and you see everything that came out in Little Brown Jug?
Well, the biggest thing that stood out is I believe it was in the second half, Laurel pulled to within one score, and then on the ensuing kickoff, Hattiesburg takes it back for a long, almost 90-yard touchdown run. Mm-hmm. And I think that kind of, as a former player, that's something that easily, kind of breaks the momentum. And I mean, you just got it back. You're within a touchdown, and then in the blink of an eye, now you're down 2 scores again. And I think at the end of the day, that's probably what ended up doing Laurel in.
Kevan, what's your takeaway from the Little Brown Jug?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Guru's right together on that. I think it was those big plays and that momentum changing play series, I should say. I think that's deflating. It's just a deflating feeling. And whenever you're already down, if you've already lost a couple of games, things like that, it messes with you mentally. And I think that's what happened. And ultimately, we see Hattiesburg was able to pull away in that one.
Now we'll go to the George County at South Jones game. Guru, you were the one covering that game, so tell us what you saw that night.
It was from pretty much from start to finish. It was all South Jones. They ran all over George County pretty much at will. They had the the Jackson brothers, each rushing for over 100 yards. Anquan, junior running back, scored 3 times. His younger brother scored twice. And I mean, George County pretty much didn't really penetrate deep into South Jones territory until the final drive of the game. Of course, the final score was 35-6. Once it got to 35-0 early in the fourth quarter, of course, it's a running clock, and that last possession, I mean, South Jones basically defensively had emptied their bench. They were letting, all those kids that are out there throughout the week working hard in preparation and helping their teammates get ready for Friday night's game. They're out on the field, and George County still has their starters out there, and they're able to move the ball down the field, and they actually scored with 2 seconds left at the last play of the game, and then they muffed it on the PAT to get the final score. And I'm going to tell you what, boys, if South Jones can keep their offensive line healthy with those 2 backs and Colin Flowers at quarterback, they might end up being our sleeper this year.
Kevan, correct me if I'm wrong. Did you pick George County last week?
Yeah,
I thought so. So this was a surprise for you, obviously. So walk us through what you were thinking before and what you thought after a dominating performance.
Yeah, I was dead wrong on this one. I'm glad I was dead wrong on this one, obviously. Being South Jones won. I mean, I didn't think the fall off was going to be so big for George County. That's what I was thinking. Obviously Deuce Knight, he huge deal, right? Huge quarterback and all, but I didn't expect the fall off to be as much. But I think that I don't want to take away from South Jones and what they did because, like you said, the rushing attack is just unreal for South Jones, and it all starts at the line of scrimmage with that offensive line, and you've got an experienced quarterback behind center who. If he cleans up a couple of interceptions that we saw at Northeast Jones, we see the makings of a really good offense for South Jones. So yeah, I'm glad I was dead wrong on that. Really interested to see how George County responds. I know we don't cover them, but I'm interested to see how they respond in the season.
We'll end up covering them at least once because they're going to play West Jones since they're in the same district with West and Hattiesburg as well. So, like you said, going to be interesting to see how they bounce back or if they do.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Kevin, you were at the inter-county rivalry game between Northeast Jones and West Jones. Walk us through what you saw in that matchup.
Yeah, man. The first thing I got to say is Caleb Holmes. He's been behind running backs, and Corey talked to me a little bit about that after Corey Reynolds talked to me a little bit about that after the game, and you had Elijah who was just a great running back. Then Caleb Holmes just waited his turn, and Corey talked about that being a maturity factor, that he was able to sit back and wait his turn, and he has just had his first 2 games have been phenomenal. He looks for people to hit, and he finds the hole. He reminds me of a good one-cut back is what he kind of reminds me of, but he has been phenomenal this year. With that said, I didn't think Northeast Jones was ever out of that game. There was at one point I texted you guys and I said, guys, I think Northeast Jones should be leading this game. They had 1 touchdown that was dropped. It was a dime, and the wide receiver had the DB beat, and he just dropped it early on in the game. And then they had another touchdown pass. Again, it was another dime that was negated by a penalty. And talking to head coach Ryan Milner after the game, he said, I think we just beat ourselves tonight. He said, I don't know. He said, with all due respect to West Jones, he said, I think tonight we were the better team and we just flat out beat ourselves. So with that said, I do think it was a good game. I think that was what I talked about last week. If you're a fan of a team that loses, if you're Northeast Jones and you're a fan of them, and they lose this game, you got to look between the numbers. You got to look inside the scoreboard. And I think there's a lot of good things that Northeast Jones can take from this game against a really good West Jones team. And if you're West Jones, like Corey said, you got to look at the film, and you got to see how can we get better. You've got it there, man. You got Tootie Lindsey out there. You got Caleb Holmes. There's core pieces there. But you got to figure out how to put it together because Hattiesburg's coming in that district like we just talked about. George County, I would expect that they're going to rebound. So I like what I saw from both teams. Obviously, the penalties killed Northeast Jones.
Well, I'm piggybacking off that. I mean, you go back to week 1, and, South Jones had to score a late touchdown to knock off Northeast Jones. And, I mean, we could just as easily be sitting here talking about Northeast Jones being 2-0 and the top team in the county. Yeah. And it goes back to what you said, just miscues. And I spoke with Coach Milner earlier this week, and that's something that he harped on going into the game we're going to preview here in just a minute. And said, he told his kids, it's all on us. But it's stuff that we can fix.
Yeah.
And I really do think that if they can get some things fixed, I think we're looking at a playoff, not contender, but a playoff team that might do a little bit of damage even in their first year in Class 5A.
For sure.
I think it's of course, anytime you play an inter-county rivalry, it's always going to be a big win. But I do think that what we've seen out of Northeast Jones in the first 2 weeks of the season really shows us that this team has a lot of heart. They have a lot of heart, a lot of fight. I think that the best is still yet to come for that program and for that team this season. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do next. Now, of course, before we get into our previews of the high school games this week, we like to kind of do a little bit of a recap on the big three from the weekend. And we'll start with Ole Miss and Kentucky. You know, Kentucky they were a trap game for Ole Miss last year. They weren't able to hold their home field last year. This year they go on the road. It's a tough game, much closer than most people thought it was going to be for the Rebels, but ultimately they got the win this year. Personally, I think it was a good game for the Rebels to be able to win a close one early in the year, especially before SEC play has. Kevin, what did you take away from the Ole Miss Kentucky game?
Yeah, it's closer than what I thought it would be, but I told you guys. I think I mentioned in the last podcast. I watched all the press conferences on Monday, and Kiffin talked about it. Kentucky's wasn't just going to roll over and just give it to them, and I think that we saw that. I think that it's there for Ole Miss. I know you've written your kind of restepping and looking at how the big three are going to do this year, so I don't want to spoil that. But I look at this Ole Miss team, and I really thought Simmons was going to be a dark horse Heisman contender at quarterback, and I think he's just got to clean up his turnovers. Got to clean up turnovers.
Got to clean up, and he got banged up in that game and
Yeah.
didn't finish it out. So it'll be interesting to see what he does this week. But second game of the year, and it's a SEC opener for both teams, and going up to Lexington, with Coach Stoops up there. I mean, he's made that program a team you don't want to have to play because they're scrappy. They're going to play tough on defense, and they're going to try to do just enough on offense. But I do agree. I thought Ole Miss would take that game anywhere from 10 to 15 points. I think the spread on it was 10.5 by the time the game kicked off. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you win by 1 or 100, and especially in this era of college football, a win's a win.
Next game we got, of course, we've got Jackson State at Southern Miss. That one was an easy game to pick because of just the disparity of depth, but it was a closer game than I think any of us anticipated. Personally, I think, again, you've got Huff changing the culture. That takes time. Mm-hmm. That's not something that happens overnight. If I were Southern Miss fan, I would not be panicking right now. I still think Coach Huff is going to get this team on the right track. So I think it was a good tune-up game going into conference play starting this week, and we'll get to that when we get to our picks. Kevin, what did you take away from Southern Miss, Jackson State?
I don't see Southern Miss blowing out anyone. I think that the expectation should be we get a win, we're good. So it didn't surprise me that it was closer. I think it wasn't as close that the scoreboard might say. It's kind of like almost a reverse of what we saw with Mississippi State and Southern Miss.
That's exactly where I was going to go.
Yeah, it's just a reverse of depth. So it's a tier, and I think that's kind of what we saw there. I'm not worried about USC. Like I said, I just don't see them blowing out anybody.
Yeah.
So it's a part of what you said too, Jack. Changing that culture and getting it going. Two, you just come off of what some people described as their Super Bowl last week, out of week one. So you're going to kind of come in and settle. And I think that may have been what happened with Southern Miss.
And going off that too, saying that Southern Miss is kind of like Super Bowl. Same thing could be said for Jackson State. They're coming in there riding, I think it was an 11 or 12 game winning streak, and they're going to give Southern Miss their best shot because they say, hey, Southern fell last week. I mean, they're probably going to be a little bit down because it didn't go the way they wanted. But like we said, following the State-Southern game, the same thing applies with Southern Miss and Jackson State. It's the depth issue. And, we saw it with State and Southern, 34-17 Mississippi State win. Then Southern Miss gets a 38-20 win over Jackson State. And at the end of the day, it's a difference in depth.
Absolutely. And again, we'll get to the college picks here coming up soon, but let's get to our county previews of our local games here.
We're not going to talk about the big. We're not.
I was wondering what was happening.
Which one?
Which one? Forks down one?
Forks down.
Oh, wow. How did well,
I mean,
probably
the biggest game of the weekend.
I want to try to skip over it because of my shame of the fact that I can't pick state for the rest of the year based on the proclamation that I made last week. So yes, I was trying to gloss over that one because, wow, what a game that was. I mean, Mississippi State jumped out to
17-0.
Yeah, 17-0. And then here comes Arizona State. They take the lead right there at the end. State looks beat. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I thought this was probably going to be a typical Mississippi State type game where they get everybody's hopes up and then blow it. And then that pass happens. And again, don't get me wrong. I was cheering for State. Guru and I both picked against them. And we both said we wanted to see State win, especially after the stuff that Arizona State said in the build-up of the game, the insults they threw. I took it not just as an insult to Starkville. I took it as an insult to the state of Mississippi. So I'm happy that the Bulldogs won. I'm just disappointed that when we get to those picks, spoiler alert, I have to pick Alcorn this week because of the promise I made. But, yeah, so that's why I tried to gloss over it. But you're 100% right. It's why we saved that one for last. It was the game of the week in many regards, not just in state, but in the nation. It was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, Arizona State came into Stark Vegas ranked 12th, and Mississippi State with that win knocked them out of the AP poll. That's how, people across the country viewed that game. And it's Jeff Lebby's signature win of his short tenure there in Starkville, and that's something that Mississippi State can really build off of, especially like the aforementioned game they have coming up Saturday against Alcorn State, and then they follow that up with a visit from Northern Illinois. I mean, you're looking at a 4-0 start going into conference play when they welcome Tennessee to Davis Wade Stadium, and I mean, I think this team's a little bit better than what we thought going into the season.
So I didn't say anything to y'all about this off camera, okay? And I know how crazy this sounds. But I was talking with some friends of mine last night, and I said, this sets up for Mississippi State to have a really special season, okay? Like y'all just said, Alcorn and IU. I know what NIU did last year, right? But that was last year in Notre Dame. You're coming to Starkville. You're setting yourself up for 4-0, like you said, Guru. I'm not a believer this year in Tennessee, and you're starting SEC play in Davis Wade. Probably going to be a night game.
No, undoubtedly. And as loud as it was against Arizona State, can you imagine a 4-0 state team possibly ranked?
Right.
Hosting Tennessee, how crazy that atmosphere will be.
If you beat Tennessee, you're 5-0. I'm never going to believe in Texas A&M. I can't do it. I can't put any faith in Texas A&M.
Remember, Jimbo's not there anymore.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Florida looks susceptible, obviously, with their surprise loss to South Florida. Arkansas, Missouri, I think are beatable teams at this point. I don't think that Arizona State's terrible. I don't think they're just this terrible team. I know we talked about Missouri being a sleeper, but I looked at this schedule, man, and I'm like,
it doesn't look as daunting now as it did a month ago.
I looked at this schedule and I said, okay, Texas and Georgia, I'm putting up as automatic losses. But you got 2 losses going into the Egg Bowl. 2 losses.
Wow, is he fixing to say that State's a CFP contender?
Think
about it. If you look, I'm not saying I think that I'm just saying, like, prime scenario here. 2-loss Mississippi State going up against what we think might be a playoff contender in Ole Miss. You could have a playoff spot on the line here.
It would be fun to have the Egg Bowl have national relevance. That would be a lot of fun.
I mean, it's been over a decade since that happened when Dak was in Starkville, and that would have been a great time to have the college football playoff because of that matchup that year. Would have been
relevant.
It would have been a playoff game to get into the playoffs.
Right. And look, I'm not saying I'm not going to crown Mississippi State after just beating Arizona State a playoff contender. But I just think that their schedule is pretty favorable. You lose to Georgia, that's expected. Georgia's a top 5, top 10 team. Texas, top 10 team. You're not really going to drop very far as long as you don't get blown out 50-0. I mean, and then the Egg Bowl is the Egg Bowl, man. And guess what? They're hosting. They're hosting the Egg Bowl. So I'm just saying, it can set up to be special.
It's going to be a fun season, and hopefully we have 3 relevant state schools in there. So we'll be keeping a close eye on things as we do every week. Now let's get into our preview games for our county schools. This time, without me trying to skip over because of my shame of what I'm going to have to do when we get to our pick segment. But let's get into first the road game, Northeast Jones at Newton County. We don't have anyone assigned going to that game, Kev, but tell me what you think going into this particular game. What are the keys you see for Northeast Jones in order to go into Newton County and get a victory?
Just don't stumble over themselves. I think it's very simple. Not going to harp on this long. Just don't stumble over yourselves. Your run game looks good. Passing game is there. And then obviously your defensive line, which by the way, and Percy and Carson, they gave West Jones fits. They were there all night, and Corey talked about it. They were just relentless all night long. And I think if you do that, take down the mental errors, it's an easy win for Northeast, and you get in the column there.
Yeah, the biggest thing that Coach Milner harped on when I talked to him prior to the preview in yesterday's paper was he said we have to play better on the road this year than we did last year. He said we struggled. I went back and pulled the record. They were 2-3 on outside of the jungle last year, and Newton County is a team that they are still very familiar with because they played 12 years straight up until 2022 was the last time they met. Newton County has the same head coach that was there. Coach Milner and several of the coaches on his staff were at Northeast Jones the last couple of times they played. So these two teams, even though all the players are going to be different, there's a lot of coaches that have coached in this game against each other. So they're going to. I mean, this is a game that for Northeast, it's an opponent that they know, and it should be a good game. And we'll throw out a prediction on that in a little bit.
Absolutely. See, you learned from last week. No spoiling prediction.
He didn't.
He didn't.
I did.
I think Northeast Jones has built up experience. This is going to be another test, of course, because you're on the road yet again, and I think it's going to be a fun matchup for them, and we'll have to see how they are able to respond after those first 2 losses against county rivals. So we'll see how things go into that. And we'll get into our picks here in a second. But the next game we've got as far as the preview is the one that both Kevin and I are covering. Gulfport at Laurel. Gulfport, of course, they're a team that I'm not sure what they are, but they're coming off of a close loss. So it's going to be another test for Laurel to see whether or not they can get the puzzle pieces together. It has to help that it's between the bricks, that it's at home. So I think that's a plus in their favor. Kevin, you're going to this game as well. Tell me what you think.
Yeah, this is the battle. Let me get it straight, Guru. This is a old rivalry. This is Big 8, right?
Big 8.
Yeah,
Yep.
the Big 8 rivalry. And I'm glad to see this back on the schedule. As you said, close loss to Picayune. Picayune is no pushover by any means. And they played them 31-28. Just looked that up. And, man, I don't want to give away my pick here either way. Laurel is going through it with tests this year.
Yeah.
They are, and that's been a thing for Laurel for the past probably decade. They play a tough non-region schedule, and that's staying true. I think the biggest thing that I want to see is more consistency from the quarterback. I want to be able to see him be able to get the ball to playmakers. I want to see him be able to get the ball to his running backs and get outside, because like you said, there was big plays that happened in the Brown Jug game, but they were just negated by other big plays. And, I think I go back to week 1, whenever I saw them against West Jones, a muddy field, they just haven't been able to get the ball consistently in their playmakers' hands. And that's what I want to see from them Friday night.
So they did play Picayune last week?
Yes, from what I see on the schedule, it's Gulfport and Picayune.
Okay, because doing my research, I didn't see anything.
I'm sorry, 8-29. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they were off last week.
Yeah, that was the one thing I was going to say for Gulfport coming into this game. They opened the season 2 weeks ago. They've had a full 2 weeks to prepare. And to me, this is kind of, and it'll go back to something Kevin's talked about in each episode, and that's going deeper into the game than the final result. This is a get right game for Laurel. As long as Laurel doesn't get blown out in this game, I think there's a lot that they can take away from it. And even better, getting their first win of the season would be great for Laurel. And like you said, Kevin, this is cool to see an old Big 8 conference rival that's on the schedule, and hopefully, maybe going forward, this is a game that they continue to play every year. And I think you guys are going to get a fun one to watch.
I'm looking forward to it. And again, I think though you've got a fun one to watch, because we've got another inter-county rivalry matchup, Guru, as we've got West Jones at South Jones. This is going to be a fun matchup. South Jones, the last couple of years, has been that program that is hoping to take another step. This could be a statement game for them.
Right.
But West Jones is not ready to give up that title, that crown just yet. So I think you've got a stellar game that you're getting to go to this week.
Oh, absolutely. Both teams come in at 2-0. It's been the gauntlet of Jones County for West Jones. They opened with Laurel. They played Northeast. Now they finally get to wrap it up with South Jones. And, for the coaches, I mean, this is extremely taxing to go 3 consecutive weeks to have to – I mean, you don't have to get the kids up for these games. But at the same time, as coaches, you don't want to lose these games. You don't want to let your kids get too hyped up going into these games. And that goes both ways for Corey Reynolds at West Jones, and of course with Casey Harrington at South Jones. Man, I can already feel the electricity and building in the air, because tomorrow night out on the reservation, I think we're going to have a bigger crowd there than what was at the Northeast game, what was at the West Laurel game, what was at the Northeast West Jones game. I think this is going to be a packed environment, and I think it's going to be a great game, and it's one I'm thoroughly looking forward to being at tomorrow night.
Kevin, what's your thoughts?
I go back to it. I just looked up his stats. Caleb Holmes has 292 rushing yards through 2 games. Kid's almost averaging 150 yards a game. And he is on track to just be a hoss. And I'm eager to see what South Jones can do to rein him in. I know Corey talked a little bit about being banged up. Not sure what the quarterback situation is and things like that. So I think South Jones seems to maybe be a little bit healthier than what West is right now, but it's South and West. That's just the way it is. I think you described it perfectly, Jack. South has been right there, and they're wanting to take that next step up, and West Jones is the king of the mountain right now, and they're wanting to push them down. I think it's just going to be a great game, and it's one of those games that's toss-up.
Well, I look forward to seeing who y'all pick as we get to that. That will be our marquee game of the week. But let's start here in college with the Vanderbilt at South Carolina. You've got Vandy traveling to South Carolina. Vanderbilt is, of course, a program we know well, as a program that has never been really relevant. Last year, they got a signature win over Alabama, and this year they're starting off 2-0, and now they have to travel to South Carolina. I think their streak ends at 2. I think South Carolina's taking this one. Go
Anchor
ahead, Kevin.
down, baby. Give me Vandy in the upset.
I'll be straight up with you. It's the Cox.
There you go. Oh, goodness. Next up, we've got the University of South Florida coming off of that signature win over Florida last week. They're traveling down to another in-state school, Miami. Miami, of course, beat Notre Dame to open the season. They've got former Georgia quarterback, former Heisman candidate in Carson Beck. Carson Beck looked good against Notre Dame. If he can continue that trend, I think he's going to be enough. And I think what I saw out of Miami, I'm not here to project that the U is back, because we've seen that far too often be premature. We talked about that in week 1, but I think Miami's going to be too much for South Florida. So give me the Canes, Kev.
Morgan Wallen released a song just a couple weeks ago, and it's titled Miami. And I'm not no singer, so I'm not going to continue.
We wanted to hear more of that.
Give me the Canes, baby.
Well, interesting that you both picked Miami. South Florida with the big upset over Florida last week. But this is the catch. South Florida is way up here right now. And it is hard when you're up that high for a coaching staff. And they will tell you from the high school level to professional level, to get those players to get back down, be grounded, and 100% focused. And I think that's going to be the difference in the game, and this one is all about the U. Give me the Canes.
Well, next up, we've got Texas A&M traveling to South Bend to take on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Notre Dame, of course, looked good in a defeat, but it's still a defeat. They're getting their home opener after a week off. A&M, of course, they played. Who'd they play last week? Or it wasn't anybody strong last week, was it?
I'm thinking. I know they won 44-22. Yeah. It was an outlier.
Pretty sure it was a cupcake.
It was cupcake week. I can't remember, but it was cupcake week.
Notre Dame's had a full week to prepare. Part of me wants to pick A&M, but I am a Notre Dame fan. I think I picked A&M in the print edition, but here I think I'm going with I'm going to go with the Irish.
We already know you're not sold on them, so just make your prediction.
Notre Dame, and I don't like Notre Dame. That's where me and Jack have our disagreements at, but I don't trust A&M.
SEC team on the road. These two met in a really good one last year.
Opened the season.
Opened the season. And I remember it vividly because I was in an airplane flying to Las Vegas to watch LSU lose to USC to start last year. We got that curse taken care of, though. But, I know you look across all the polls, our poll, the AP, the coaches poll, we all got Notre Dame as a top 20 team. But playing up in South Bend, I'm really by the month really being sold on Marcus Freeman, especially what he did last year, losing the opener to Northern Illinois and then bouncing back and taking Notre Dame all the way to the national championship game. I got the Irish as well.
Next game is going to be Georgia traveling to Tennessee. This is a what should be a marquee SEC matchup. We've got questions about both Georgia and Tennessee, considering the fact both of them have new quarterbacks this year. This is going to be a tough test for Georgia on the road. Of course, Tennessee is a tough place to play at, but I think the dogs are going to be too much for them. Give me Georgia.
My girl bought a recent purchase, and she put it on last night, and she said, "What do you think?" And it was Tennessee checkered sweater. And I told her, "You just cursed Tennessee. Give me the Bulldogs."
Yeah, it will be a a good atmosphere up in Knoxville at Neyland Stadium. But, you said there's question marks for us on both of these teams. I think there's a lot more question marks for Tennessee. I think at the end of this one, it may not be pretty. It's probably going to be an ugly, semi-low scoring game. But I think that Georgia Dog defense is just too much. And this is kind of getting boring because we just all keep picking the same teams. So give me the Dogs.
That means if you're a betting person, bet against all the games that we agreed on. Isn't that how that works on all these type shows?
Except for one that's fixing to come up in just a couple of minutes.
Of course, we get into our state schools, but we've neglected an area school the last couple of shows, and we want to make that right. And that we're going to go to the community college route. We're going to talk about the Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College at Jones College game, and again, this is a traditional rivalry. I remember when I was at Jones, this was a game that folks looked forward to, no matter what sport it was. It's at Jones, so I'm going to go ahead and take the Bobcats in this one. Kevin, go ahead and tell me why I'm right or wrong.
I think what Jones has been doing has been really well, really, really good. Latrell Pollard's got the boys playing really, really good football. But I've been on the sidelines of Mississippi Gulf Coast and Jones College games the past couple of years, and it just seems like that Gulf Coast coaching staff and that team has just had Jones's number. As much as I want to pull for Jones, hey, look, my shirt, I'm even wearing a Jones shirt. I just can't do it. I just cannot do it. I'm going to be rooting for Jones College, but I'm picking the Gulf Coast.
Don't let shirts fool you, Jack. Home opener for the Bobcats tonight. If you don't have anything, that you have to do, go out and watch this one. This is going to be a great game. Gulf Coast comes in as the 7th-ranked team in the country. While Jones is 2-0, a win here would put the Bobcats in the NJCAA top 15 poll this week. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to side with you, Kev. I think it's a close one, but I think, like you said, Gulf Coast has had Jones's number the last couple of years. But this is going to be, I think, a teaching game for Coach Pollard following whatever happens. But I'm gonna pick the Bulldogs on this one.
And our next pick for our college teams, this is my shame game that I've already told y'all that while I definitely believe Mississippi State will rout, promise is a promise. Give me Alcorn. Give me the Braves.
Let's just be the one that wins, too. Then what are you going to do?
If I'm right, I get to pick however I want the rest of the season. Whenever I hit, whether it's I get to go back and the deal is off. But for this week, I'm taking the L and picking the Alcorn Braves.
I just talked about Mississippi State having a potentially magical season, and it would be totally in Mississippi State fashion to lose this game. But I can't do it. Go Bulldogs, Hail State.
Yeah, coming off such a big win, it's good that they're playing an FCS opponent this week because, like I said, talking about South Florida going to Miami and being up on that, very high, excited level. That's how Mississippi State is right now. And I would not be surprised in the least if this game looked totally ugly in the first half. I could see Alcorn leading 7-3 at the half, or State only up 10-7. Now, maybe State comes out and just blows the doors off because going from FCS, I mean, we talked about, a gap between Mississippi State and Southern Miss being SEC and Sun Belt, but now we're going another step down in the depth difference, especially with a team like Alcorn that's kind of struggled over the last few years. Yeah, I mean, it's Dogs all the way.
So at least I kept us from being unanimous on that one. Our next game, we've got Arkansas at Ole Miss. Ole Miss, again, coming off of a close one last week. Arkansas has traditionally been a trap game. I just don't think Arkansas is going to have enough for the Rebels this time. I think they win their home opener this year. I think they're going to take Arkansas in a game that's closer than most people might expect.
Is what's his face still at Arkansas?
Sam Pittman.
Pittman, yeah, Sam Pittman.
Old Sam Pittman.
That shows you how irrelevant I think Arkansas is. I couldn't remember if Sam was still there. Kiffin rolls, Ole Miss rolls. They have some pig for supper, pulled pork
nachos.
Yeah.
I think this used to be a game played a little bit later in the season, and that's when it was more so kind of a trap game, like you said, Jack. But being this week 3, coming back to Oxford after getting the big win at Kentucky, man, unfortunately, I think this is going to be Sam Pittman's last year at Arkansas. I love the dude. I'd love to sit down and have some barbecue and beers with that dude, but the Rebels, big.
I think there we go. So, I mean, I guess since all three of us picked the Rebels, again, you can maybe put money on Arkansas. So we are agreeing too much today. This next matchup, of course, Southern Miss is opening their conference season. And I think that because of the fact that Southern has is it a 14 game losing streak to FBS schools? So it's
too many.
Yeah,
it's double digits. And it's too many.
So again, they're opening the season. App State's 2-0. They look like a tough opponent. I think there's another one though. I'm going to flip from what I picked in the paper. I think I'm going to go flip from where my pick in the paper. I think I'm going with Southern Miss in this one. Just listening to you guys talk before the game, and I really believe that Huff is going to have these guys ready. I think he understands the focus. I think it's going to be a close game. I think App State's going to give Southern Miss all they want, but give me the Golden Eagles.
What's App State most famous for?
Upsetting Michigan.
Yep. They're gonna have some upset Southern Miss fans in the stands because the streak is gonna keep on going. I just can't see Southern Miss winning this one. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I am. But App State, I think I believe they beat Charlotte if I'm not mistaken. And I just see them winning this one. But I do think it's close. It's a close game. Maybe Southern Miss leads for a bit. But I think App State closes the game out.
This is a good one for Southern Miss, especially with it being at the Rock. Going up to the Appalachian Mountains might make it a different story. I think this game is going to be kind of a theme for what's going to happen in Sun Belt Conference play for Southern Miss. I think with the exception of maybe UL Monroe, I think most every game that Southern Miss plays in the Sun Belt Conference this year is going to be a one-score game or less. And I think they're all going to be close. And I think this one's going to be close. And I think that at the end of the day, the Eagles, they're going to go to the top. Give me Southern Miss.
Okay. So Kevin kept us from being united in that one. So, that should...
And your flip from your real pick. So,
yeah. Because I did pick App State in the paper, or at least I don't even remember what I picked, but I think I did. Normally I write that down, but today,
see, mine's usually on the weekends, and I've got a lot of other things happening on the weekends, and I just send them.
Well, normally before we get up here to do, I go through what I send into Murph and write it down, but today that did not happen. So, but moving into our high school games. Now, for these outlier picks, we're probably going to fly through these and not necessarily go into much of a breakdown. First game, you've got Bay Springs at Forest Hill. Look, I would probably pick Bay Springs anyway, but I'm still bitter at Forest Hill for, beating me in high school for a soccer state championship. So give me Bay Springs.
Go Bulldogs, Bay Springs.
Just clean sweep. And it's not going to be close. I'm going to throw that out there. It's Bay Springs will have a running clock by the late third quarter because they're going to run all over Forest Hill.
Next, we've got Stringer at Park Place Christian. I'm going with the Red Devils. I'm picking Stringer.
It's like, where in the world is even Park Place Christian?
So
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I know we said we will fly through this, but I do have a funny story. I covered Park Place Christian one time. I actually covered them whenever they played Prentice Christian, and
So where are they at?
they're up towards Pearl, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But I covered them with Prentice Christian, and if I'm not mistaken, if I remember right, it's been a long time ago, they had 13 players, and 2 players got hurt in that game. So they had to try out 11
So you're saying they should probably be playing little man football?
They
They
should
could
be
be,
playing
but
little man
they
football.
apparently they had 26 players, I think, on their roster that I saw Wednesday. But Stringer's coming off of a loss, and I guess a pretty good team. But I think they're going to rebound and they'll take this game.
Yeah, I totally agree. Coach Dan Brady, even though he's got to take the Red Devils up to Pearl to play Park Place, give me the Red Devils.
Next, we've got Kemper Academy at Silva Bay. Little man football, as we've started calling it here. Again, I don't know much on this one, so I'm going to take the home team again. Sorry, Gerald, if it keeps jinxing you guys, but I'm picking Silva Bay.
You know what? I'm on anti-jinx. I'm taking Kemper in this one. Silver Bay got to get a win. One of us is going to be wrong here, and the jinx is going to work. I'm taking Kemper.
Both of these teams have struggled early on in the season, I believe. Kemper's coming in 0-3, so I'm going to go Silver Bay. No hyphen.
No
No
hype.
hyphen.
Next, we've got Harrison Central at Heidelberg. Give me Heidelberg. I'm going to go ahead and take Heidelberg.
Big Heidelberg wins this one.
Yeah, it's this is an interesting matchup. You know, Harrison Central 7A school coming up to Heidelberg, Mississippi to play.
I actually
And-
think I've got that wrong. I think Heidelberg's traveling.
Oh,
Yeah, I think I've got that one wrong.
Doesn't
Heidelberg's
change my pick. I'm
traveling.
staying with Heidelberg.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think because they had the thing for their buses. I think that's right. Right? That's the team from Tennessee.
No, Harrison Central.
Oh, never mind. Never mind. My bad. I'm so sorry. You're exactly right. I'm so,
You know where Park Place Christian is, but do not know where Harrison Central is.
I know where Harrison
Holy
Central-
crap.
I know where Harrison Central
Lord
is.
help
Well, they're
us.
sure
I
as
got
heck
my
aren't in
weeks
Tennessee.
confused. Okay, I saw a post about the buses that they were going to use to travel up there. And I was
Yeah,
like,
they do have a game next week up in
next week. There
Tennessee.
you go.
With all that said and getting everything corrected, go Oilers.
Absolutely. So next we've got Raleigh at Taylorsville. Is that correct? Is it
McGee. You skipped
McGee.
over McGee at
McGee
mine.
at
McGee at Mize? Okay, thank y'all.
This
for the
show's
help.
just running off the rails.
Well, look. You know, I mean, when we can't, are we sure
Jack's
it's
not wearing his
McGee at
glasses. He's not wearing his glasses.
it is. It's
It is at
correct.
mine, yes.
Mize? McGee at Mize. Give me Mize.
You know, I thought McGee was supposed to be a sleeper team in the in their region.
So they got waxed last
classification.
week.
Yeah, they got waxed. Although Mize did get beat by PCS, that was a close game.
And PCS is a strong team. You can't, I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, give me Mize in this one.
and it's McGee got beat by Simpson County rival Mendenhall by, I think it was 49-14. This is one of two out of these 15 high school games. I've already circled my winners, but this was one of two that I had as a toss up, and I hate doing it. I really do, but we're gonna make it a clean sweep. I'll go with Mize as well.
Next, we've got Raleigh at Taylorsville. You know, again, Kevin, that is at Taylorsville. We're just making sure now.
Conferred by J. Pugh in real life.
Give me Taylorsville. Give me the Tartars.
Wow, I'm taking Raleigh in this one. Go Lions.
I know the Tartars are struggling this year, but I think they're going to get it right.
You're gonna be about as right as that as you are on Alcorn. Go Raleigh.
Next, we've got, somebody had to keep us from another queen sweep, right?
Fair enough.
Next, we've got Winston at Wayne Academy. Based on what Kevin told us last week, I think we still are watching Wayne rebuild, so give me Winston.
Give me them Winston Light 100s.
Another No, I'm just kidding. You can look at my paper. I've already got it circled. Give me the Jaguars. I'm going Wayne Academy to get their first win of the season.
Next, we've got Northwest Rankin at Wayne County. This is going to be a difficult test for sure. I'm going Northwest Rankin.
Oh, man. Wayne County's my hometown, y'all. Mm-hmm. And I remember the glory days, but
they long failed.
Yeah.
We have fallen off. Northwest Rankin beats Wayne County. Beats them.
I'm going to add down to that. Beats them down. It's all Northwest Rankin.
Next, we've got Oak Grove, missing one again. Collins at Mount Olive. I'm not sure on this one. I'm going Collins. I'm going Collins.
Look, I looked stuff up before we came up here on this one, and we'll show it to you. It literally has toss-up written next to it because they both haven't won.
I think that's why I tried to skip this one. The other one was an honest mistake. This one I was trying to skip.
So. This used to all jokes aside, this used to be a really competitive series, and Mount Olive, I mean, the school is just declining, and all seriousness it is. But I love Dante Durr. He's the head coach at Mount Olive, and I love him. So I'm literally just picking with my heart right there. I'm gonna pick Mount Olive.
And I just went ahead and made my pick while you were talking. What's that team's mascot?
Bayou Bengal?
No, what's their official mascot?
Tigers.
What's Collins?
They're the Tigers.
Give me the Tigers.
I think that one was just a little influenced by your favorite college team there. But now we've got Oak Grove at Hattiesburg. Hattiesburg had flashes last week in what I saw, but I think I'm not buying in on them yet. So give me Oak Grove.
This is a pretty big rivalry game.
It is.
This is a pretty big rivalry game. But I'm just going to say.
Does Hattiesburg's coach know that?
Probably not.
He better find out. With that said, we are just a couple of games away from me introducing a nickname for Oak Grove. And you know what? If they lose this game, I'm just going to have to start calling them Choke Grove. But give me the Warriors in this game. I don't know the status of Hattiesburg's wide receiver, the best receiver in the state.
Tristan Keys,
yeah. I don't know his status. Did he
play
against Laurel?
No, he did not.
He did.
Jack couldn't even find him.
I didn't even.
If he was there, he wasn't, like normally in street clothes and a jersey.
Well, I mean, if I'm going to go ahead and say it, because of the absurdness of Hattiesburg's coach not wanting media walking behind their bench, which again was ridiculous. But I wasn't able to really study, so I'm trying to look at from a distance from Laurel sideline. But no, I never spotted him on the sideline.
And I've heard scuttlebutt in regards to Tristan Keys, and he was a LSU commit until a couple of weeks ago, and he flipped to Tennessee. I've been told he signed a several $1 million NIL deal with Adidas, and Tennessee is currently a Nike school for football, but starting next year, they've already signed a 5 or 10 year contract to become an Adidas school. And I've been told that Adidas has said to Mr. Keys, just kind of keep it on the low, and you'll be rewarded financially.
Yeah.
All that aside, I don't really give a crap. Give me Oak Grove.
Now we've got Petal at Columbia. Give me the Panthers. I'm going Petal.
Yeah, this will be a good game. This really will be a good game. Two really good head coaches in this game. But just give me Petal. Give me Petal on this one.
Should have done your homework.
Yeah.
Columbia beat Hartfield Academy on the road last week. Give me Columbia knocking off Petal.
Now, next we've got Pass Christian at PCS. I haven't really done much study into how PCS is making their transition this year. I'm going to go with Pass Christian. I'm just blind on this one.
I don't know anything about Pass Christian. I have no clue about who they are, what they are. If you were to put a gun in my head and say, find their mascot, I couldn't tell you right off. But give me Pass Christian.
Clean sweep.
Clean sweep. It's a pass.
Oh goodness. All right, let's now we're going to have a little bit more fun. And we've already previewed them, but we'll still probably have a little bit more of a discussion as we get into the three county schools here. You know, first up, we've got the game that Kevin and I are going to, Gulfport at Laurel. I really believe in what they're trying to accomplish there at Laurel. I think they're close to getting to that next step, finding that success. It's between the bricks, but I just think that the extra prep time that Gulfport has, I think Gulfport's going to come in fresh. I think they're going to come in healthy. Give me the Admirals.
Yeah, I know it's a loss, but the Picayune score and Gulfport score is telling to me a lot. Added in the fact that I just think that it's hard to get up after you've lost the Jug and then you lost to your inter-county rival. I'm going to pick Gulfport in this one, and I hate to say that, but it's just, man, Laurel's got to show me that they can get the ball in their hands as playmakers.
Yeah, and Gulfport is still, even though at 0-1, if you pay any attention to Max Prep rankings, they're ranked as one of the top 25 teams in the state. And like Kevin said, you know, you take one on the chin week one against your county rival, then you lose the Jug. There's still a lot of season left to be played, and I think by the time the dust settles, Laurel is going to end up being a number 3 or number 4 seed in the playoffs. But right now, it's going to be it's an uphill battle, and unfortunately, we're going to go 3-0 or 0-3 on this one. And
well, that's fortunate for Laurel, maybe, that all three of us picked against.
Yeah, give me Gulfport.
You know, next, of course, we're going to Northeast Jones at Newton County. Northeast Jones has looked really good in 2 losses. I mean, really good in 2 losses. Is this the week that they're going to find themselves and get that first win? I'm going with them. I'm going with Northeast Jones. I just have a feeling I'm picking Northeast Jones.
Yeah, I pretty much gave mine away in the preview. I mean, I did.
It happens, I can promise.
Well, I mean, there's just really not much to talk about. At the end of the day, I think the writing's on the wall. It's just don't beat yourself, you know. And no disrespect to Newton County, I just think that the potential is there for Northeast Jones, like you said, to get in the playoffs and do some damage, maybe a first round upset, you know, something like that. So yeah, I'm picking the Tigers in this one.
Yeah, it's, you know, like Jack said, this is one of the, I mean, if you had to rank, you know, the top 20 0-2 teams in Mississippi, I would have to guess that Northeast Jones would have to be a top 10 team.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're just a few bad breaks, a couple penalties here and there from being 2-0. And I know, like I spoke about in the preview, there's some familiarity. Okay, you had that problem with spelling a certain word. I have a problem with saying that word, okay? So there's that connection. Correct. And I will continue. But the coaches on both sides have faced each other in the past, and it's a road test for Northeast Jones, leaving the jungle, going up to Decatur. But at the end of the day, I think the Tigers get it done. I think it's close for a while, but I think Northeast Jones pulls away late to get about a 10, 12-point victory.
Well, before we get to our marquee matchup of the week, of course, I have told you guys that we're going to do a random sports wild card pick. Sometimes it might come from the NFL. Sometimes it might come from anywhere in the world of sports. This week, there is a big boxing match coming up. You've got champion Canelo Alvarez taking on Bud Crawford, an undefeated fighter who's fighting up 2 weight classes this weekend. It's going to be fun. It's free if you have Netflix, so you'll be able to watch it if you're a fight fan like myself. I'm a huge boxing fan. I think I might know more on boxing than both of you guys, so I'll save my pick for last. I don't know your expertise on boxing, Guru, but I'll save my pick for last. We'll start with you, Kevin.
Boxing's the most boring sport, man.
come on.
Isn't Tyson still the heavyweight champion?
He might be.
The only reason I pull in is for the Paul brothers. That's
Man, I'm looking at you now because I can't take him
Why
serious.
shouldn't we just talk about wrestling? If
and
this
then
is where
Conor
we're going?
McGregor. I'm just going to be real with you. I really haven't kept up with boxing at all. I do know that it's the Netflix fight. I'll probably tune in. Just give me Canelo because he's the name that I know. But if you really want to watch something good, WrestlePalooza will be on ESPN.
All right. We need
Brock Lesnar,
do
John
I need
Cena
to
will
pod
fight.
down his microphone?
Just let it go on. Tell us where Taylor Swift is playing this weekend.
Oh, Taylor's not touring right now.
Oh, okay.
There is a rumor that she's building an amphitheater in Branson where she's going to have like a home base.
That's all. That's riveting. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that to the
I've
show
muted
today.
him.
Good deal. Alvarez Crawford. It's a huge fight. Alvarez is the current champion. It's hard for me. I do keep up with boxing a little bit, especially when it's not football season. I don't know what time of day this fight's coming on Saturday, but I can guarantee you I will not be watching it because I will be watching somebody play college football, because when college football's on, Guru's watching college football. However, give me the American. Give me an upset. I know he's moving up 2 weight classes, and that is extremely hard to do in boxing and in MMA. But I'm going to take the upset, and I'm going to go with Crawford getting the championship.
Bud Crawford's a heck of a fighter. I've watched multiple of his fights. He's fought on ESPN a lot, so he's been a free fighter. I've watched Canelo Alvarez. I've seen him win decisions that I didn't necessarily agree with at time to time. I'm looking at the Triple G fights. But Canelo Alvarez is the champion for a reason, and I see Canelo Alvarez rising to the occasion. I respect Bud Crawford for stepping up in 2 weight classes. I think it's going to go a decision, and if you know anything about boxing, if it goes decision, the champion has the advantage. Give me Canelo Alvarez in this one. So, and now for what most of our viewers and listeners care most about, we're back to the high school football, and we're going to get into this matchup between West Jones and South Jones. This is going to be a fun game. Kevin and I, as much as we're going to enjoy going to Laurel again, we're jealous of Guru of getting to cover this game because this is going to be a war. These are 2 teams that are built very well. Both like to run the football. Both teams are solid. But this is a statement game for South Jones. This is a game that can make or break their season. This is a defining game in a program that wants to show that they've arrived and they've taken the next level. But West Jones is still the standard. They're still the team in this county that folks are measuring everyone else up against at the moment. Is the moment at the reservation going to be too big for South Jones this weekend? I think a lot of the questions come down to the health of Tootie Williams and how much is he going to play in this game. I've gone back and forth on this one, guys, and I think I'm going with the Mustangs.
Well, Tootie Lindsey, sir.
Tootie Lindsey. Thank
Tootie
you.
Lindsey.
I was going to let it roll, but
Well,
No, it needs
I like
to. If
second
we
place.
make a mistake, it needs to be correct.
Me and Tootie are distant cousins down the line somewhere. Both of us have Lindsay as our last name. No, I think that this is just going to be a brawl, man. It's going to be a really good game. And one thing that I posted on my professional page on Facebook is the Mustangs are 2-0 wearing the Colts, the little horseshoe on there. And I get
you like
gosh.
spiking things.
I love it. It's all in good fun, but I do love it. I had some people get really mad about that. But I just got to pick the home team, man. I got to pick it. I like what South Jones is doing. And, man, I think it's a health thing. I just think that West is a little too beat up. But, yeah, I'm picking the Braves.
I have a lot of history at West Jones. I was there, The Rock, 2018, the night that West Jones played for their first state championship, Byron Young's senior year. And West Point was just too much for the Mustangs that night. And then 2 years later, got to go back to state up at Jackson Memorial Stadium and watch my son in his senior season, the last football game he ever competed in, win a state championship. And I mean, the kid came out and me. I handed my camera to a friend of mine that was on the sideline with me, and buddy, I made a beeline for that dog pile and fulfilled a lifelong dream by jumping on there. With that being said, this is going to be, in my opinion, one of the best games of the first 3 weeks of the season. It's probably going to be a back and forth affair. The one thing that I hope for is it's not a sloppy game. I hope there's not a lot of flags. I hope turnovers don't decide it. I hope it's a clean, crisp game. And you know, at every level, there's very few games that are penalty-less, and even, you know, I mean, you can go look at every college game that's been played so far, and I would venture to say there's probably only been 5 or 6 in the first 2 weeks that didn't have any turnovers. But it's just something that we hope doesn't mount to make a big difference. And with that being said, the last 2 times that South Jones beat West Jones, I was at both games, for one. But number 2, who was the head coach at South Jones?
That would be Mr. Corey Reynolds.
And where is Corey Reynolds coaching at today?
That would be in So-So.
That's right. I say all that to say this. If you know, you know. The tweakers are going to tweak. The hogs are going to eat. Give me the Braves this week. Play the chop, baby.
Oh, no.
Guys, this has been the Laurel Leader-Call Sports Show. I'm your host, Jack Fairchilds, along with Kevan Lindsey and Josh Guru Nichols. We'll see you guys again next week.